So today I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that I commonly see in the backswing. Right, so the backswing doesn't have to be the same for everybody. And when you watch the best players in the world, you do see quite big variations, but you see that they're incredibly good at repeating what they do. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes commonly that I see with amateur golfers that come and see me in person and send me videos. And even when I've got friends that are golf pros, they generally talk about the same mistakes people make during the backswing. Now, I will be the first to say that I don't think the backswing has to be perfect, and you can still hit good shots even if you make all 3 of these mistakes. But what I'm going to say is if we can simplify that backswing, it becomes even easier for you to hit lots and lots of quality shots. So guys, while I'm running through the 3 big mistakes and how you're going to fix those, if you are enjoying today's video and you don't currently subscribe to my channel, please consider clicking the button below, ring the notification bell, and then you find out whenever I drop a new video. And while you're at it, don't be afraid to smash that like button underneath. But for now, let's get on with the 3 biggest mistakes in the backswing. Right then guys, so like I said in the intro there, the 3 biggest mistakes I see with the backswing. Now, I'll be the first to say that making these mistakes in your backswing doesn't mean that you can't hit good shots. But it maybe makes it a little bit more difficult because there's more compensatory movements. So the more simple that backswing can be, the easier it's going to be for you to get a good downswing and a good impact position. So when I run through the 3 biggest mistakes in the backswing, the first one I see is that when golfers sway at the start of the backswing. Now, I think, to be fair to most golfers that do this, they're very aware that they need to transfer their weight in their golf swing. But the problem is that as they set up to the golf ball, most golfers will be pretty 50-50 with their weight. And what they'll initially do is that first movement from here, as the club starts to move, we see this. Now, this can be hugely destructive for contact because as you move away from the golf ball, if you don't move at least the same amount, if not a little bit more, you're going to bottom out early. You're either going to hit the ground behind the ball or you're going to miss the ground and you're going to thin it or top it. Now, if you're watching this video, there's every chance that's something you already do. So I think the key thing to notice is to feel more centered rather than feel that we sway in the backswing, is to actually, as the club starts to move, actually to feel that that trail hip turns behind you and even allow that trail leg to actually just straighten a tiny bit. So instead of seeing this, what we're looking for is a bit more of that. And you can see there, I stay much more in line with the golf ball. And then from there, it's obviously much, much easier to shift left, get that strike. And even if I just incorporate that as the first fix, that's a lovely strike. And I think even if you're doing other things wrong, as long as you get that ball and then ground contact when the ball's on the ground, even if the direction's a little bit off, most golfers will start to be more pleased because at least they feel they're striking the ball. So that's the first big mistake in the backswing, hopefully fixed for you. So the second mistake that I see is probably more from this angle. Now, what I will generally see with maybe higher handicap golfers is that the club definitely works too quickly behind. And then as the club works behind, we see a very over-the-top movement because there's no space, so we create space in the downswing. Now, I think this is a really, really simple fix, and it's very much what you do with your lead arm. So what I tend to see with golfers, particularly when they come and see me for lessons, is with that lead arm, they tend, because they want to get that left hand over on the club, they tend to rotate the forearm this way, okay? And it makes sense. If I rotate my whole forearm to there, that left hand now looks in a neutral to slightly strong position. Now, the only problem from there is it's actually quite difficult to get the club working up. Actually, everything wants to work around my body. So from there, round, and then we're in all kinds of trouble. So the way we're going to fix this one is I want you to feel that as you put your left arm down, it's almost like your elbow is going to be pointing more behind you. Now, the left hand is then in quite a weak position, but what we're going to do from there is we can actually just turn the forearm. We don't have to let the upper arm rotate to do that. So from here, we're going to rotate the forearm, gets that left hand into that nice neutral position, right hand in from the side, and now that arm's in a very, very different position. And from this position, without even trying, the club is going to work much more up. And then, hopefully, we're going to see the club shallow. Even if we see a little bit of this movement, we at least know it's not because the club's worked behind and across. So this isn't necessarily going to help with strike, but would certainly help with direction of shots. So like I said, feel that elbow's a little bit more down behind you. Rotate the forearm to get that left hand there. And then the club can move a little bit more straight up. And again, good strike from the first fix. Nice direction with the second fix. So that moves us into the third of the three biggest mistakes that I see. Now, I will be the first to admit that I think sometimes golfers' backswings are too short. But I think there's a real issue that golfers don't maintain enough width in their backswing. And what I mean by that is that as they come back, generally things look quite good, but the body gets to a point where it's stopped and it feels very, very short. So the only way the golfer can then get further back than there is to let this lead arm really bend, and we can see that the hands then get incredibly close to the chest. And again, if we don't get all the way back, the width of your swing is more narrow and it's very, very easy to miss hit. Beautifully demonstrated as I just clipped the top of the golf ball. So what I want you to get a feel, and again, I think the three fixes that we're talking about all tie in quite nicely. Once we're in position and we've got that left hand and that arm as we've discussed, as the club moves away and we let that hip rotate behind us, it allows the body to turn a little bit further. And then as a result of that, we can feel that that lead arm is a little bit more stretched. Now, as long as you've turned your body as far as you can, we can see there's some good width, and it's not vital that the club gets back to parallel. But it's nice and wide, and then from there, the club's got lots of distance to travel, accelerate, and we know we're going to strike it well from the first mistake that we've fixed. The second mistake's going to give us some accuracy, and this third fix will definitely keep the strike good and maybe get us a little bit more speed. So we set ourselves up, get ourselves ready, and off we go. And what I love when you work on these things is the golf swing just starts to feel amazingly simple, and you can just enjoy hitting lots and lots of quality shots. Right then, guys, so we can see those three big mistakes. The first one was too much sway in the backswing. So that is going to get that low point of the swing moving around too much. And if we can feel more of a turn in the backswing rather than a sway, it's much easier to control the low point, therefore strike the ball better. So the second big mistake that we see in there is getting that club behind us too much. And I do think a lot of it is getting that lead arm in the wrong position, but also because golfers are so bothered about swinging around their bodies that the club goes behind them to begin with, and then we see that over the top, out to win movement on the way down. So that really, really affects kind of accuracy and distance. And then that third and final mistake was very much that thing about losing that width during the backswing. Because they're not turning properly, try to get the club as far back as possible. Whereas if you can maintain that width at the top of the backswing, the club's then got longer to travel on the way down, longer to accelerate, and you're going to hit the ball further. So we can see those 3 mistakes would ultimately be costing you strike, accuracy, and distance. So if you can fix all of them, we're just hitting perfect shots every time. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's content. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you have enjoyed today's video and you don't currently subscribe, please consider clicking the button below. Remember to ring the notification bell and then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.